I thank Showhorse for his patronage and for sponsoring today's video. Lowe and Lee, Royal Advisors, versus Eleshnorn, Kozilek, and Safi Eriksdotter. 2-lander with ramp and some more ramp and card draw with a black market connections, so yeah, I think we're happy to keep this. We've now got a couple of means in hand of a player milling half their library with Traumatise, just drawn into that this turn, started with Maddening Cacophony. So potentially have some combos that we could draw into here. Play the Felwar Stone, likely going to get the black market connections down next turn, start drawing some more cards. In fact, I might make a token as well. The token would be an advisor with that, and it means that after our commander and these two petitioners we'll be able to start milling straight away. Safi being played on turn 2. Looks as though the Kozilek player might have some Simulacrum, gets a bit of land ramp for Eleshnorn. Okay, draw into another land, so we get to keep up our lands at least. There's no real benefit to getting down the commander here or a couple of petitioners. I think we'll just stick with the plan of the connections and be happy that we managed to make a land this turn. And Urza's Saga over here, and use that to play Spinet of Souls, a 4/3 with reach. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, reveal cards from the top of the library until you reveal a creature and put it into your hand. Goes well with Safi, who does want to sacrifice itself in order to activate the ability and obviously save things from the graveyard. Even though the creature comes back out of the bin with Safi's ability, it will still have died, so trigger this. Could be some very good card advantage for him. Navigation Orb can be sacrificed for a couple of basic land cards, and that will include wastes because it is a basic land, just doesn't have a land type, that's all. Infested Flesh Cutter is +2 to power, and it gets equipped to the Solemn, so making that a 4/2, and when it attacks it's going to make a Might token, so those have Toxic 1 and cannot block. And the 4/2 swings in at us. I'll be interested to see how much of the table is going to be worried about mill. Does tend to make players panic, so after dealing damage to us we see the Might token be created. There's Memory Erosion. I tried a couple of these 3 mana enchantments in the deck, because with regards to plus counters on the petitioners, we do want to see as many mill pings as possible, but I don't know if I'll really care about that in the end. 6 life to start off with the black market connections, so we're down to 30 already, but there is a Thrumming Stone, that's really nice. So, are we going to concentrate first on our commander? I think we're fine to get down the commander first, because if we're going to be going for Thrumming Stone into a bunch of petitioners, then we want to be doing it with our commander in play really, so that we can get buffs on our stuff as well. This allows us to save a treasure as well. Have to be wary of the fact that if our opponents discard any cards it will trigger our commander as well, although we're not particularly interested in discard, but someone might use a cycling effect or something like that. So ideally next turn we get into a land and a treasure so that we can go Thrumming Stone into a petitioner. Anyway, we see an Arcane Signet over here as well. And there's a Birthing Ritual. And into the Birthing Ritual sacrifices Safi Eriksdotter, so triggers the Spinet of Souls. He's going to reveal a creature here. If I can open the reveal zone. We saw Arch of Arazka, but put in a Solitude into hand. Luckily we don't actually need our commander in play, but Solitude could easily go onto it. And the first trigger on the Birthing Ritual. At the beginning of the end step, if you control a creature, look at the top 7 cards, then you may sack a creature. If you do, you may put a creature with mana value X or less from among those cards onto the battlefield, where X is the sack creature's mana value +1. And it does decide to sack the spider for a Sakura Tribe Elder, and then the spider comes straight back because it had the Safi ability on it. Navigation Orb being activated for those basic wastes. And a Collector's Vault after that, one that you don't see too much of in Commander. 2 tap to loot and make a treasure token. Seems like a more fair version of Kozilek. We are in bracket 3 here. Welcoming Vampire, ready to make another Might token and draw a card into that. Decides to take the 4/2 and the Might token to deal the first toxic damage to Kozilek. Okay, so a land in the top 2 cards is what we need. Got another Persistent Petitioners, so we'll draw with the black market connections, make a treasure with that as well, losing 3 life to it. Okay, 3 lands by turn 5 is pretty dicey. So what do we do here? We'll have to discard a card to hand size. Would we rather have the Necropotence? I like all the cards in hand is the problem. Could try and buy ourselves some time with a Raise the Palisade, but it's a bit of a waste of a board wipe really. Let's go Memory Erosion. So that's whenever an opponent casts a spell, they mill 2 cards. And then we're going to have to discard something anyway, so Persistent Petitioners, we might as well get one into play, not into the Thrumming Stone. Tempting as it is to hold on to this treasure mana. It is one more creature that's going to get buffs from the Memory Erosion. This is probably going to do a lot of work over the next turn cycle, so hopefully it doesn't panic our opponents too much. And I think I'll go against the white player here. If he wants to block with his Welcoming Vampire, then that's fine. I want Safi to think that we're not looking at him over there. So Sakura Tribe Elder sacrificed in response. Could have blocked and sacked with that anyway. And that reveals more cards into a Springheart Nantuko. So that is in hand now. And obviously gets the Rampant Growth from Steve as well. Our opponent trades out the Urza's Saga into Sol Ring as it typically does. So we're still in the same boat where we need a treasure and a land next turn if we want to start doing Thrumming Stone stuff. At least with only 3 advisors in play, our opponent shouldn't worry too much about us milling them at the moment. Although there's the first on Memory Erosion. Springheart Nantuko onto Spinner of Souls should do a lot of work for him. And we saw milled Altar of the Brood, ironically, and Loyal Retainers, is that supposed to say? So triggers Low and Lee for the first time, and here's where we're going to see the benefit of small mill pings. Might encourage our opponent to use his Solitude. Safi Eriksdotter back into play again for 4 mana, so mills again, and buffs our army again, and get rid of Craterhoof. So he's obviously looking to make a lot of tokens at some point. There's a fetch as well. Shocks down Temple Garden, making landfall, so he can make a copy of the Spinner of Souls if he wants to pay into it. We're only at turn 5, we haven't even started our mill plan yet, and our opponent's down to 78 cards in the library. Decided on only getting an insect token. So there is Gift of Immortality, another spell, onto his commander, and this time mill Scoot Swarm, which would go very nicely with the Craterhoof, and another land. So we got 3+ counters on our stuff this turn. Whilst avoiding a board wipe, it would be interesting to see how relevant this Power and Toughness is going to be by the end of the game. Birthing Ritual can sacrifice something, decides against it though. Palladium Mere is more ramp for the Eldrazi player, and that is a spell of course, so we see the back of the Grey Havens and Sequestered Stash. Looks like we're going to get another one as well. That's Darksteel Ingot, plenty of ramp as you would expect. Mills more lands, done him a favour almost by clearing these 4 lands off the top. Our commander's up to an 8/8 already. It'll be interesting to see. I didn't really build around lots of little pings, so I wasn't expecting to get the commander up that big. Be interesting to see if I should have the Assassin's Creed equipment, 2 to play, 1 to equip, Unblockable and Ward 2 I think it is, Brotherhood Regalia is what I'm thinking of. Be interesting to see if that would be of any relevance. Still going in at the Eldrazi player, makes another toxic creature, draws another card to the Welcoming Vampire. And for some reason Kozilek didn't block a 1/1 token there, so goes up to 3 poison. And there we see Dawn of a New Age is some white card draw, mills a land, and the restoration of a Gonjo. And then more card draw for White Weenies, a Wedding Announcement. Through to the end step, triggers both of his enchantments there. So back up to 7 in hand, milled a Plains and a Ghost Vacuum. Now then, a treasure and a land please, and then we need even more luck by seeing more Persistent Petitioners off the top. Let's go treasure and a draw again. We have drawn into a land, so got what we needed on that front. Okay, Tainted Isle, while we've got Urborg in play is fine, so I'll just drop that. And like I said, we need some luck here. Persistent Petitioners in the top 4. Once Thrumming Stone is down, should hopefully see us through alright. But I dare say all our opponents are looking at us anyway, so I don't mind trying to go off here. That land's not worthy. Our commander is a 10/10 at the moment. Let's play Petitioners. And put the first Ripple 4 trigger on the stack. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, we managed to hit 1, so these will also, if you haven't seen Thrumming Stone before, these will trigger for Ripple 4 as well, straight off the top of our library. Lost out on Mesmeric Orb and some more mana, put them on the bottom in any order, it doesn't matter. Kept the shuffle effect in hand for such a reason. Okay, and we whiffed straight away, unfortunately. So those go on the bottom in any order as well. So that's unlucky. What I think I'll do now is encourage my opponent to make some chump blocks over here. I suppose it will be a single chump block. Take the commander into the left. It's a shame I can't go in with the changeling like I was going to as well, because I want to activate all 4 of these for some mill. Got 26 petitioners in the list, and I wonder if it should be closer to 30, so that we don't whiff like that on the Thrumming Stone. Just make him block with the insect instead, like we thought he was going to. Now that we've got Thrumming Stone in play, it might be worth raise the Palisade next turn, and maybe we could one-shot a player after a turn cycle with the memory erosion. Okay, there's the one ring. Well, gives him protection, meaning that we can't target him until his next turn cycle. And these do have to target as part of the ability, so we'll have to look elsewhere. He is casting a lot of spells in all fairness, so can't dodge the memory erosion. Mills a land and a talisman. The more we mill him, the fewer cards he's going to be able to draw into the one ring as well. Unfortunately, we can't mill at instant speed with stuff like the Cacophony and Traumatise, so he's going to survive quite a while with this. Did draw a card straight away to the one ring, and there's more card draw with Esper Sentinel, being very liberal into this memory erosion, which is fine. A land and Solemn milled this time. And then sacrifices his commander with Gift of Immortality equipped, pointing it at the Esper Sentinel. So it looks as though he's going to sacrifice this into the enchantment maybe. Gift of Immortality will bring his Safi straight back. But of course sacrificing his commander has triggered the Spinner of Souls for some card advantage. And he showed us there, Pattern of Rebirth, Selfless Spirit, Arts Druid's Charm as well, so putting the Selfless Spirit into hand. So back comes the enchantment. Birthing Ritual can sacrifice something, and does decide on the Esper Sentinel of course, which will come straight back with Safi's ability. Spinner of Souls doing a lot of work in this game. Got himself a Souls Attendant, so luckily I'm not too worried about life totals, but he's going to gain a lot of life to that, especially with token generation. This time gets a Recruiter of the Guard into hand. And unfortunately, due to the one ring, we're not going to be able to encourage him to make blocks. Not worthy a Skull Clamp was revealed as well, but that'll be on the bottom of the library now. Might be that we see Kozilek here, although he's got 4 cards in hand. So there it is, and that means that there could be some problematic counters from the Kozilek player. Mills another land and a Phial of Galadriel. The plus counters obviously makes the petitioners way better blockers as well, which can keep things like this away from us. He can do the sacrificing of Safi every turn now, thanks to the Gifts of Immortality, so point Safi somewhere. Not sure which creature he's pointed that at, but gets another trigger with the Spinner of Souls, this time showing us Heroic Intervention, some lands, and Haywire Might. So Haywire Might can go straight after our Thrumming Stone, unfortunately, but hopefully he won't be able to do that soon enough. Well, saying that, we're not drawing into a huge number of petitioners. Claim Jumper is some more land ramp, and we've cleared a lot of mana off the top for the white player, so he should be drawing into things that are better than lands. It's noteworthy with this, it actually says each opponent mills half their library, so we don't have to target with it, which is relevant with the one ring. So we could take this guy down to 33 and then mill him down to 21, and then a couple more mills like that and he'll be done. Could even do that during his upkeep potentially. Depends on what we draw of course and how lucky we are with the ripples. This time the mites go in at the player who has protection with the one ring, so he should just take this really. Suppose he could make some blocks. And Smothering Tithe, ready for all this card draw. So that ironically triggers the Esper Sentinel, which will take the Safi player up to 8 cards in hand. And in response, Safi is going to sacrifice itself. Again, can't see what it's targeting, but it's just doing it for the spider trigger anyway, seemingly. And this time reveals to us Awakening Zone. Source of Plowshares is good to know that they don't have it in hand, although they've still got that Solitude. Delivery Moogle is what was placed into hand here. And let's go for some activations, or a single activation. We'll put it on the white player. Would have been nice to put it on Safi previously, but then we would have been shields down against the attackers, which we probably would have been alright with in hindsight. They milled Phyrexian Atlas and some boots to casting the Smothering Tithe, by the way. And this time, lands of course, Phyrexian Rebirth, Skrelv's Hive, Weathered Wayfarer, Norn's Inquisitor, Norn's Annex, Mind's Eye and Skrelv, and a bunch of enchantments trigger, so Safi back with Indestructible. Now I'm wondering if we should put more life into Black Market Connections again. If we had 2 tokens, our Commander and a Petitioners, that's 4, and then we only ripple into 1 additional Petitioner, we could activate twice then, so I think it's actually worth it. 3-Tree City is very nice, so I don't feel the need to go for a treasure token, which will save us a bit of life. We will draw an additional card and try and get into another Petitioner though, which means we're losing 5 life. Do we just go the full way and make a treasure anyway? I think we do. So we're down to 18. And there we go, got ourselves into another Petitioner. There's another Smothering Tithe treasure. And life continuing to be gained by the Soul Attendant. Safi is on 44 life at the moment. Slam down the 3-Tree City. We control 6 Petitioners at the moment. Obviously going to name Advisor. So that means we tap those 3 lands, we get 6 mana. Unless we go for Petitioners first. I suppose that makes sense, so we've got even more mana potentially. And I suppose depending on how well we do on the ripples, that will dictate what else we do this turn. Oh wow, didn't manage to get into any there as well. Losing out on Intruder Alarm, unfortunately, that would win us the game. Visions of Beyond as well. That's pretty unlucky. The whiffs on the ripple effects does mean that our opponents are going to be less scared of us, but yeah, I think I'm going to go for the Persistent Petitioners again, because either way we're going to have mana into the 3-Tree City. Yeah, let's try again. Hope we get more luck this time. Alright, and we get 2 this time, so that means that we ripple 8 effectively, so we're much more likely to get something going here. Like I said before, the ones off the top ripple as well. That's why Thrumming Stone is so good in tribal decks, or more so decks that have all the same name of card, like Relentless Rats and stuff. And we managed to get another one, so that is ripple 4 again before the other ripple 4 is even resolved. Put Phoenix on the bottom of the library. That would have been good with all the buffs to toughness as well. And whiff on that one, so we've got one more shot of getting more ripples. But at least we've got a bunch of mana into the 3-Tree City here. This is the one that we need to get more Petitioners with. There we get another couple, so ripple 8 again. There's the other enchantment that will ping. That's only on our draws, so it's not as good. Wasn't sure about including Psychic and Memory Corrosion. I'd definitely play Memory Erosion. Probably leave out Psychic Corrosion, I think. Maybe include another counterspell to protect the draws, or maybe we just have to go for more Petitioners. Another whiff on the ripples, but we get another 2 on the other one, so panning out nicely. There's one of the combo pieces, River Churn Monument. That, along with milling half your library, would end the game for your opponents. And another 2 off the first ripple, so we've got ripple 12 at the moment, because we've still got 1 to resolve. And we can always say no to the ripples, by the way, but I don't really see that there's too much advantage from that unless we're really worried about a board wipe, which maybe we should be at the moment. Hit another one. Maybe we should be because we don't have any kind of protection at the moment. And hitting another 2, so I'll just continue going here and not likely to give any more commentary until this is all resolved. Okay, we've had a couple of players scoop here. Apparently, alright, well that's 3 ripples right off the top. It does take a while to do this in all fairness, but it might have been that Kozilek could have countered our mill half the library plan. Seen Phoenix again there, so I think we've got all of our Persistent Petitioners out now. If you were clever enough and you cascaded through the entirety of your library here, you could actually end up stacking it somewhat. If you remembered what was on the bottom, you'd know what order your cards in your deck were rising to the top in. Okay, and there's a Solitude finally. He's discarded Spore Frog to add plus counters to all of our stuff. He could have done that before more Petitioners came in, but I don't suppose it matters. He's really built around the fact that we can't deal combat damage. Luckily, we are not particularly bothered about that, although we can always go wide apparently. Yeah, if we had something like a Chroma's Memorial here, that would be haste, evasion and vigilance, so I think something like that is well worth an include. We're not really all that bothered about anything he exiles here, I don't think. We've got 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, plus 3 and 6 is 29, so we're on an odd number anyway. Yeah, you can take out the commander if you like. Are we in the main phase here? We can't target our opponent with this ability anyway, because it's a target player. So I think we just allow the Solitude to exile our commander and put it back in the command zone. I'm glad it survived so long because it does show you how many plus counters you really can add over the course of a turn cycle, although I think Memory Erosion did a lot of the heavy lifting there. And now Safi Eriksdotter being sacrificed onto the Solitude. That has been evoked, so it is going to be sacrificed in a minute and come straight back, at which point it will exile something else and stay in play. Of course, Spinner of Souls is going to get more card advantage as well. Oh, I mentioned the Spore Frog before. You actually don't discard to Solitude, do you? You have to exile something. Yeah, it was that Selfless Spirit he exiled, so don't have to worry about that being in hand anymore. Noteworthy that if we went for Raise the Palisade now, we'd bounce white creatures back into his hands, so he could flash Solitude back in. Can't see Solitude being too relevant though. He has gained us a nice chunk of life. We're up to 36 again, with a Necropotence in hand, so if the game does last longer than I'm thinking it's going to, we can always keep cards in hand. He's consistently gaining life from the Soul's Attendant. He's up to 62 already. Didn't see what he got off the Spider previously. We know he doesn't have Teferi's Protection because that is now on the bottom of the library. Solitary Confinement, again he's just based around not being dealt damage. Okay, he's got Academy Rector in hand. He's got Bright Glass Gearhulk available to him as well. And then, like I said, in comes the Solitude off Safi Eriksdotter and exiles a smaller Petitioners this time. Can't target our opponents, so nothing to do in response. We're really helping each other out with the life totals here. Obviously gains a life per Petitioner that we get in. Okay, so can't deal him damage because of the protection. 15, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 and 27. So we have missed out there unfortunately on one activation because it's an odd number and not a multiple of 4. But still, let's go for a bunch of blue mana. That's 27 blue mana. And we'll go for... We're going to do anything about a Raise the Palisade. I'm just wondering if he's got some kind of weird white counter magic. We'll risk it. Let's go for the kicker on Maddening Cacophony. I don't really want to give him back that Solitude and mess around with card advantage again, although the more cards he draws, the fewer cards he has to mill. So we get to pay the Esper Sentinel tax, argument to be made for, again, allowing him the card draw, so that he's got fewer cards in the library, but we'll pay the tax here. Not going to bother rippling with the Maddening Cacophony unless we wanted to clear 4 cards off the top because we're highly intelligent and somehow know what's on top of the library. My memory's not that good, but maybe you wanted to get closer to some other cards. Right, that went through, so let's just, for the sake of it, try Raise the Palisade, because that way he has to recast his Spinner of Souls, which is doing a lot of work for him here. And if he gets some more Solitude stuff, then so be it. At least he has to get rid of stuff from hand in order to do it, and he also won't be doing it into the Spider. So we name Advisor again with the Wrath, and that means everything except Advisors gets bounced. Springheart Nantuko just falls off because it was bestowed, and that means that we go through to the upkeep and hope our opponent can't get some means of protection on himself. No point swinging in, like I've said a few times, and we're not going to see a bunch more plus counters thanks to our commander being in the command zone now. But he's down to 30 cards in the library and we've got plenty of Petitioners to go off with, so we can even respond to any means of him giving protection to himself. So put the activation on the stack, and I'm going to allow this to resolve before I do anything else, because we'll force him to respond if he feels as though he's able to. It'd be bad news if we came across an Eldrazi here. So there we go, down to 18, we'll do it again. And mill 12, again, allow it to resolve. Okay, and there we go. Our opponent clearly made a mistake with Safi there, I've just realised, but if it was getting bounced back to hand anyway, I don't suppose it matters. Yeah, decided to scoop before he got totally milled out there, but that obviously means that he didn't have anything for us. That deck was very much based around not taking any combat damage, so in most instances it would have been a nightmare to play against. Luckily for us, we don't have to play around combat damage, but I think we've showcased there just how big the creatures can get with Lo and Lee. It's a much more explosive deck if you go for milling half the library and comboing off like that, but I think it's very much worth including some small mill effects as well, especially the enchantment that we saw, Memory Erosion I think it's called. I'm in the lobby now so I can't look, but yeah, I would definitely include that one because, well, you saw how much work it did for us with our commander in play. I know a lot of you were looking forward to this one, so hopefully you enjoyed Lo and Lee Royal Advisors, and if you want to see more from it, as ever, let me know. Please consider donating on Patreon if you enjoy the content as well. We're in a real slump with the Universes Beyond cards, and this is an incredibly small channel, so any help that you can give me there is very much appreciated. Huge thank you to those of you who do that already. I'm TribalKai. Thank you for watching.